Hi everyone, welcome to Greekish Outdoors. Today I have a new knife to show you. It is the Morakniv Bushcraft Forest Edition. So, stick around. So recently I've been searching online for a new knife to test out, and for a while now I've kind of wanted to test out the Morakniv Kansbol. It's quite a popular knife, it's got a slightly unusual design, but the handle design is very similar to the Mora Bushcraft that I've recently reviewed. But I've also wanted to test out the Mora Bushcraft knife. However, I kind of still like the blade design of the Kansbol. So what I found was the Bushcraft Forest Edition in stainless steel, which is a bit of a hybrid. It's got the handle of the Mora Bushcraft and it's got the blade of the Kansbol. Anyway, let's take a closer look. So this is the box of the Mora Bushcraft Forest Edition, which was delivered to me this morning. If I take it out of the box, in the box you get the knife and the polymer sheath, but you also get two options on how to attach it to your belt. There is a loop for you to slide your belt through, and there is a belt clip. I like the fact they give you two different options. Sometimes you kind of want a quick release knife on your belt, other times you need it more secure, so I like that. For now I'm going to use the belt clip. So push it in, slide it up, and that is now secure on the knife. That belt clip does fit nicely onto your belt, it does feel secure. The knife can twist on it, so if you do get it caught on anything, it's going to move rather than snap. I do like that. I think I'll use this more often than the actual belt loop. But yeah, very usable. If I get the knife out of the sheath, you can see that the handle design is exactly the same as the regular Mora Bushcraft, but the blade is that of the Kansbol. So quite a nice hybrid knife. It feels very nice in the hand. Unlike the regular Kansbol and the Garberg, which I said I previously reviewed, this has a kind of a finger guard there which will stop your finger slipping up and potentially cutting yourself on the blade. Yeah, it's got a nice sticky handle. It feels pretty good. Right, before going to some testing, let's have a few facts and figures. It is made in Sweden and the blade is made from Swedish stainless steel. It has a nominal hardness of 56.5. The grip material is TPE rubber. It weighs 154 grams. The blade length is 109 millimeters. The blade thickness is 2.5 millimeters, and the total length of the knife is 232 millimeters. This knife comes in the military green colour and has a polymer or plastic sheath. Now on the Morakniv website they state that this is a reliable outdoor knife that can be used in many different situations on your next outdoor adventure. Designed for the hunter, the knife is an excellent choice when you need a safe and robust tool close at hand. I said before the blade is made from Swedish stainless steel, but it's actually recycled Swedish stainless steel. Say that quickly 4 times. Now the back of the blade feels fairly smooth, which is surprising for a bushcraft knife. I thought it'd have a sharper spine so you could use it with a fire steel. We will, however, be testing that out later on. But on first impressions, it's nice in your hand. Grip's very nice, it feels secure. That texturized rubber handle means it doesn't feel like it's going to slip out your hand even if your hands get a little bit wet. And the blade is a nice size. Some people might want a thicker 3.5mm blade, but to be honest, for most work a 2.5mm blade is plenty thick enough. Of course the blade does taper from a maximum of 2.5 down to probably about 1.5mm at the very most. Now again, you might think that'd make it fairly fragile, but I think it's going to be very useful for things like chopping up meat and other foods. That thinner tip might make it a little bit easier when you're doing things like carving. So first impressions are very good. It feels good quality, it looks great. I do like the handle, I do like that unique shaped blade. Anyway, first thing, let's test how sharp it is. A little piece of paper here, straight through. That is razor sharp. Let's see if we can take a little bit of bark off this dead branch. Just glides through so easily. Yeah, if we want to dig a bit more, check that sharpness again. Yeah, that goes in really nicely. Yeah, razor sharp straight out the box. Right, I've got this dry piece of wood. Let's try and make some feather sticks. So from some larger ones to a few small ones, definitely useful this knife at making feather sticks. So how good is the bushcraft forest for batoning? Pretty useful for batoning too. Now how about carving? Well, even if you're doing it in the style of peeling a carrot, it's pretty usable, but of course more dangerous that way if you're doing it the traditional way. It's not the easiest shaped piece of wood either, but as you can see, it's definitely taking some nice shavings of the wood off, so it is possible to carve something even as awkward as this. Now my hand is getting very sweaty in the heat today. It's about 30 degrees and the knife does not feel like it's going to slip at all. It's still very controllable. Yeah, feels nice and comfortable, and I don't have the worry due to that finger guard of my finger slipping forward. A lot of people will like that over the Mora Bushcraft handle. So for carving, although an awkward piece of wood to carve, I definitely think it's very usable. Let's try carving with something a little bit more traditional in shape. This is European hornbeam, so it's very hard, but this knife is making short work of it. So if I want to take a good amount of the wood off, if I'm making a spoon or something like that, then the base of the knife is doing a good job. Again, if I want to do a bit more detailed carving, use the top. Very manageable, even on wood as hard as this. Now I should mention, like nearly all Mora knives, this has a Scandi grind. Some people might not like that, some people might. I find it easy to keep sharp. It stays sharp for a nice amount of time. I feel the Scandi grind is quite useful for many different tasks, and this knife is no different. Even useful for hacking off some thorny bushes too. So, can the Mora Bushcraft actually be used with a fire steel to light a fire? Let's find out. Well, the answer to that is surprisingly, as you saw, no. Now, this being a bushcraft knife, surely the spine should be sharp so you could get a spark from a fire steel. I mean, the whole idea of a bushcraft knife is so you can do things like that. That is very, very odd. I did think at the beginning that it didn't feel sharp enough to create a spark, but I was hoping it still would. Very strange. What do you think about that? The fact that a bushcrafting knife, something that's advertised as a bushcrafting knife, cannot generate a spark on a fire steel. That seems completely mad to me. By contrast, let's check out the Mora Bushcraft. Now that definitely generates a spark. So overall, I really like this knife. Does it feel as tough as my Mora Bushcraft? No, if I'm being honest, it doesn't. And when I'm batoning, because the fact it hasn't got a full tang, it kind of concerns me. Many people will say my concern is not valid and they've used it for batoning for many years, but I don't know. I've seen a regular companion split at the handle when people have been batoning with it. This tang is slightly more robust, I believe, than the regular companion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I like it. I really like that grip. It's really sticky in your hand. It's not going to slip out even when my hands were sweating before. The blade is very sharp. It is easy to maintain. With it being stainless steel, you don't have to bother with the oiling process like you do with a regular carbon steel blade. However, you will need a sharpening stone or a strop to keep that blade razor sharp. I do like that different shape for the blade. That thinner end really helps get into smaller nooks and crannies, but you can still put a lot of power through the bottom of the knife too. Yeah, I like it. Whether you're using it for food, whether you're using it for general bushcraft tasks, then I think it's a very useful knife. The only thing I don't like about this knife is, as I showed before, you cannot really use a fire steel with it, which is a bit odd for a bushcrafting knife. For those that like the Kansbol but don't like the handle, for those who like the bushcraft knife but don't like the blade as much, then this hybrid could be the knife for you. If you want to buy this knife, you can get it on the Morakniv website for almost 46 euros. However, I paid almost 13 euros less than that on Skroutz. Yeah, as I said, I like it. It's definitely something I'll be carrying with me in my backpack when I go into the woods from now on. Maybe not as my primary knife. I think the Bushcraft for me still will be my main knife, but definitely as a backup. Let me know what you thought of this knife in the comment section below. Do you own this knife? Do you own the Kansbol or the regular bushcraft knife and kind of fancy a go with this one? I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so today. It really helps the channel out. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care. Much love. See you next time.